Bombshell Trey Gowdy goes nuclear, exposes huge DNC secret. Accepting defeat, an integral part of life and success. But Democrats are in short supply of accepting loss these days, as they have no intention of quitting their ridiculous Russia narrative anytime soon. Every new theory they keep coming up with is instantly refuted by solid pieces of evidence. True American patriot and Republican member of Congress of South Carolina Trey Gowdy has built a name for himself by being recognized as some of the more straightforward and prudent members at the Capitol, who has his own unique set of skills to get the truth out of people. Gowdy has scored again by asking a seemingly inconsequential question that actually raises many questions. Why has the Democratic National Committee refused to hand over the allegedly Russia-hacked emails to the FBI or Department of Homeland Security to be scrutinized? The only reason why the entire Russia narrative seems so intricate and complex is that this way, liberals can spin it any way they want to for their advantage. If news breaks of President Trump having met some Russian official back in the day, or when he was running for president, or after he won the presidency in November, Democrats immediately assume that Trump has had his hand in some shady plot with the Russians to sabotage them. But, after the story broke, and the scandal transformed into an official investigation that also includes President Trump, who is investigated for obstruction of justice by firing Comey halfway through the probe, not a single piece of solid evidence has been found to corroborate the accusations. The only culprit for Hillary Clinton's loss is herself, the party that pushed to get her nominated, and, seemingly, the leaked DNC email released by WikiLeaks that, as of late, have been confirmed were hacked by an inside source, not by Russia, as it was initially suspected. Even though no person, organization, or other entity has yet been found guilty of hacking the DNC emails, former DNC official Seth Rich is strongly believed to have been the person who turned on his party, hacked the emails and shared them with WikiLeaks, and, as a result of his treachery, he was found dead, murdered, presumably a retaliatory act by the Democratic Committee. CIA agent decided to break his silence and blows the whistle to expose Barack Obama's real identity. After his inauguration, Donald Trump's presidency so far has shone a light on the White House's war with the deep state. One former member of the intelligence community has spilled the beans and decided to break his silence about the Obama administration's cooperation with the deep state. Former CIA analyst, and retired U.S. Army Reserve Lieutenant Colonel, Tony Shaffer, told Fox News back in February that the Obama administration was behind the public leaks of Lieutenant General Mike Flynn's phone calls with Russian officials. According to Mr. Shaffer, the blame belongs at the feet of John Brennan and James Clapper. These two former CIA chiefs have long been suspected of running counterintelligence operations against the Trump administration. Although Brennan publicly spoke out against the empire of leaks that have been damaging the Trump administration, many in the alternative media suspect that he is one of the ringleaders of the Obama-era holdovers who has undermined President Trump. In particular, one conservative news outlet accused Brennan of collaborating with British and Estonian intelligence agents in order to smear Donald Trump as a quasi-Russian agent. Brennan, who supported the American Communist Party during the Cold War, also has some surprising links to radical Islam. One former CIA agent who served with Brennan in Saudi Arabia accused him of converting to Islam. Is it widely known that there is a top intelligence official in the Obama administration's CIA who has converted to Islam? Yes. It was reported in none other than The Washington Post in 2012. Why couldn't it be Brennan? The movie Zero Dark 30 about the killing of Osama bin Laden, for which the movie makers gain access to classified material, the Obama administration was criticized for making it available to them, featured a top counter-terror official who strongly resembled Brennan and was shown performing Muslim prayers. As for Clapper, he has tried to defend the leaking of unclassified documents by declaring that unclassified is not leaking. Clapper also told Congress that he had seen Flynn and other Trump administration communications before they were leaked to the press. There is a possibility that both Clapper and Brennan were connected to Susan Rice, the former national security advisor to President Obama, who is suspected of using her security clearance to spy on President-elect Donald Trump and his inner circle. Not surprisingly, National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster, who himself has been accused of being a globalist mole within the Trump White House, was the man responsible for letting Rice keep her security clearance, thereby clearing her of most espionage charges. Lieutenant Colonel Schaffer is definitely correct that Lieutenant General Flynn was set up and burned in effigy by the mainstream press and the deep state. When the media got Flynn's scalp, it set up a bad precedent. Since then, many of President Trump's leading MAGA officials have left Washington, D.C. The leaking war against General Flynn directly led to the resignation of Steve Bannon and Dr. Sebastian Gorka. These are the reasons why President Trump should stop internal leaking from the deep state. DOJ just made massive announcement for prosecuting Hillary Clinton. Newsmax comes out with new report that the DOJ believes there are ample grounds to prosecute Hillary Clinton. They are also considering offering Hillary a plea bargain in exchange for confessing multiple crimes. If they know she is guilty of multiple crimes, why let her off the hook like this? Just simple arrest her, and in that way justice will be served for all. But, always exist when the problem are Clintons, probably for them still existing set of rules, another for everyone else. From Newsmax. The discussion of a plea bargain took place late last month and was offered by a high-ranking Justice Department official to the Clinton lawyer. During the exploratory talks with the prosecutor, the Clinton attorney was told that despite former FBI Director James Comey's decision last July not to prosecute Hillary, the Justice Department has re-examined the email case and believes there are ample grounds for prosecuting Hillary on a number of counts. Under the Justice Department's plea offer, Hillary would be required to sign a document admitting that she committed a prosecutable crime. In return, the DOJ would agree not to bring charges against Hillary in connection with the email probe. Also, as part of the agreement, the Justice Department would not proceed with an investigation of Hillary's pay-to-play deals with foreign governments and businessmen who contributed to the Clinton Foundation or who paid Bill Clinton exorbitant speaking fees. The Clinton attorney cautioned that normally a plea is offered by a prosecutor only upon arraignment, and Hillary has not yet been charged with any crime. Michelle tries to convince crowd that she's a sex symbol - gets wrecked instead. Barack and Michelle have had quite a hard time relinquishing the power they once held ever since the Trumps took over at the White House. As Obama remains obsessed with trolling President Trump with his shadow government, Michelle has been obsessed with maintaining the media spotlight she once held as First Lady, where she's been frantically booking up interviews and public appearances to compete with the beautiful and sweet Melania. But shortly after Michelle decided to tout herself as America's sex symbol, her ridiculous claim has now come back to haunt her, after the American people who have finally had enough of her revolting lies are making their voices known. After spending the last 8 years race-baiting and blasting our country alongside her treasonous American-hating husband, Michelle is trying desperately to maintain her relevance in American society, which is proving, just like her school lunch programs, to be a massive failure. Several weeks ago, rather than slipping into obscurity like we had hoped, Michelle helped host ESPN's ESPY Awards, where just the mere sight of her ugly mug resulted in millions of viewers turning off the show. Breitbart reports the awards show resulted in a historic new low in viewership for ESPN, leaving Michelle embarrassed and licking her wounds. But in her latest pathetic effort to be important, the backlash from Americans this time is massive, and will leave you laughing your ass off. In a recent interview while bragging about her accomplishments as First Lady, Michelle touted herself as America's sex symbol, claiming that she has issues simply walking down the street because men can barely contain their lust at the mere sight of her. As I got older, I found that men would whistle at me or make comments about how I looked as I walked down the street, saying that men would routinely catcall as she walked by. As if my body were their property. As if I were an object to be commented on instead of a full human being with thoughts and feelings of my own. The words had barely left her fat-lying mouth and people across America were already questioning what alternate reality Michelle Obama resides in where she seriously thinks she's America's sex symbol. Here's some of the most politically incorrect responses that were posted in response to Michelle's claim. What sex and what species? Maybe a congress of baboons or silverbacks. Pesky liberals and Democrats, if it is not dead people for votes in a poll, then it is raiding the zoo. More like an abstinence symbol, I think. These people are totally delusional. Obama thinks he's a straight guy born in Hawaii that did a great job as president. Wrong. Michael thinks he is a woman who was the best first lady ever and is a sex symbol in America. Wrong. These two guys need help, they are living in a fantasy world. There is not enough alcohol or drugs available that could ever make Michelle Obama a sex symbol. That would be like dragging your balls across 5 miles of broken glass just to hear Michael Moore fart in a payphone. Her poor attitude and condescending arrogance is a symbol for abstinence. A person's charm is what attracts. She is disgusting. Every parent of a horny teenage boy should make certain he has a picture Michelle in his wallet next to the Trojan. Sex symbol? Rafflemau, OMG, you're killing me. She may be a sex symbol on the planet the predator came from. She is a sex symbol. A symbol for not wanting sex. Picture her every time you look at someone and you definitely won't want sex. I think I just threw up in my mouth and shit myself laughing too hard. First, if she's a sex symbol, what does that make Melania? And in all seriousness, she could be the most beautiful person on the planet, but to me, she's ugly on the inside. It's truly startling how huge Michelle Obama's ego is, which apparently has grown exponentially since she left the White House. Sorry Michelle, there's lots of things you can claim about yourself, but sex symbol is not one of them. Now if you want to tout yourself as the most race-baiting or the most anti-American first lady in American history, then that is claim that the American people can rally behind. Obama stunned to learn his family's deepest, darkest secret has gone public. Stanley Ann Dunham, yes, that's her real first name, was the mother of Barack Hussein Obama. She was a rural anthropologist and a devout member of the Communist Party and could not abide the color of her own skin, let alone the fact that her family were Christians. At the first opportunity, Dunham married a Muslim man who would father the Anointed One, Barack Hussein Obama. After a rocky marriage to the man from Kenya, Dunham married another man from Indonesia, who became Obama's stepfather. He was also a Muslim until he converted to Christianity and denounced communism. That was another breaking point for Dunham, who ended up leaving him and going back home to the U.S. In the meantime, she brought up her son with the same hatred for her own country and its horribly immoral and unjust roots. Lo and behold, Barack Hussein Obama grows up in the land of Lincoln, schooled in the Chicago way, and weaned on the communist breast milk of Saul Alinsky. The chip on Obama's shoulder grew until a time when he knew that he must do one thing: destroy America from within. His policies were anti-white and his emphasis was on reparations for the descendants of slaves. Little did he know that his family held a dark secret: Obama's grandsires were slave owners, too. Barack Obama's ancestors owned slaves. A genealogist at the Library of Congress discovered in 2008 that Barack Obama's ancestors owned slaves. The Chicago Tribune reported. Many people know that Democratic presidential candidate Barack Obama's father was from Kenya and his mother from Kansas. But an intriguing sliver of his family history has received almost no attention until now: it appears that forebears of his white mother owned slaves, according to genealogical research and census records. According to the research, one of Obama's great-great-great-great-grandfathers, George Washington Overall, owned 2 slaves who were recorded in the 1850 census in Nelson County, Key. The same records show that one of Obama's great-great-great-great-grandmothers, Mary Duval, also owned 2 slaves. The Baltimore Sun retraced much of Retweener's work, using census information available on the website Ancestry.com and documents retrieved by the Kentucky Department for Libraries and Archives, among other sources. The records show that Overall, then 30, owned a 15-year-old black female and a 25-year-old black male, while Mary Duval, his mother-in-law, owned a 60-year-old black man and a 58-year-old black woman. Now that all of the Democrat statues are being torn down in America by alt-left mobs, isn't it about time we erase slaver Obama from the public arena? Owners. They were wealthy. They were well-educated. And they were entitled. The fact that Dunham married a black man from Kenya was most likely a devastating blow to the Dunham family, considering their roots. Is it possible that her rebellious nature was tied directly to her intimate knowledge of this fact? Is it likely that Dunham knew that her family were slave owners and, through her liberal university-taught white guilt, thought it better to marry a black man in order to balance the wrongs of her family's past? Only she could answer that question. But perhaps, if she had gotten together with Ben Affleck, they could have compared notes on their past. Special Report Mueller issues search warrant for new investigation. Hillary Clinton ally Robert Mueller, who was appointed to be the special counsel of an investigation into President Trump's alleged Russia ties without any clear oversight to Mueller's probe. The silly debunked Russia probe is still trudging on. Now, special counsel Mueller has issued search warrants to investigate so-called Facebook anti-Hillary campaign ads that were supposedly purchased by Russians. Even if true, why on earth can't Democrats see that no one likes Hillary? All the Russians in the world combined couldn't make Hillary more unlikable than Hillary does on her own. She's a smug, cheating liar. From money.cnn.com. Special counsel Robert Mueller and his team are now in possession of Russian-linked ads run on Facebook during the presidential election after they obtained a search warrant for the information. Facebook gave Mueller and his team copies of ads and related information it discovered on its site linked to a Russian troll farm, as well as detailed information about the accounts that bought the ads and the way the ads were targeted at American Facebook users, a source with knowledge of the matter told CNN. The disclosure, first reported by The Wall Street Journal, may give Mueller's office a fuller picture of who is behind the ad buys and how the ads may have influenced voter sentiment during the 2016 election. Facebook did not give copies of the ads to members of the Senate and House Intelligence Committees when it met with them last week on the grounds that doing so would violate their privacy policy, sources with knowledge of the briefings said. Facebook's policy states that, in accordance with the Federal Stored Communications Act, it can only turn over the stored contents of an account in response to a search warrant. We continue to work with the appropriate investigative authorities, Facebook said in a statement to CNN. Would the left just start the character assaults once again when it dawned on them that Hillary wouldn't show up on a red carpet with a crown on her head? If they think they can overrule the will of the patriots of this country, they have another thing coming.